Good morning. I want to welcome you today. Thank you for coming out as we join together to celebrate the life of Jodi. And I appreciate your time and support for this family during this moment of grief in their life and their experience as they go through this. And to let you guys know that we are always here for you as you need us. So please let us know. I do want to just kind of go over a couple of things for those of you who are visiting with us and new to our church. We do have restrooms in the back. If you need to use those, please do so. If you need anything else, just let me know. But I do want to let you know about that. Also, there will be a lunch following the memorial service today that you're more than welcome to remain and spend time with the family. And as you can see, there are a lot of pictures and items displayed here in front that talk about Jodi and express the things that she enjoyed doing, so there will be an opportunity to look at those also today. We are streaming the service, and I just want to, and we're also recording it, but we've been having some issues with our internet since the hurricane, so if there's issues with the Facebook, then it is being recorded and it will be put on Facebook for those who would like to see it. But we're going to hope that everything goes well. All the music that we're going to be singing are on our screens here, and there will not be a song leader today, since I will be going to the back and making sure that the slides are turned so you guys can see the songs. But I just want you to be aware of that also. Today we come to celebrate a very special individual's life. Jodi means a lot to all of us, and for those of us who had the opportunity to get to know her, she always made us smile, she made us think, and she made us a better person. And I again want to say thank you for coming today as we honor her life and as we support this family. And we're going to now get ourselves ready by singing Morning Has Broken. Would you pray with me, please? Oh, comforting God, we do thank you for this time together as we come. We thank you for the beautiful weather. We thank you for family and for friends. And we thank you for what Jodi meant to each of us as we come together here today to honor her, to celebrate her life. We thank you for giving this world such a precious gift, a sweet child of yours, a devoted daughter, wife, mother, sister, friend. Bless our time here today as we come. Amen. Well, I want to share some scripture readings before I share some remarks with you. And the scripture reading this morning that I have chosen comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. If I speak with the tongues of mankind and of angels, but do not have love, I have become a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. And if I give away all my possessions to charity, and if I surrender my body so that I may glory, but do not have love, it does me no good. Love is patient. Love is kind. It is not jealous. Love does not brag. It is not arrogant. It does not act disgracefully. It does not seek its own benefit. It is not provoked. Does not keep an account of wrong suffered. It does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. It keeps every confidence. It believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, but if there are gifts of prophecy, they will be done away with. If there are tongues, they will cease. If there is knowledge, it will be done away with. For we know in part and prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will be done away with. When I was a child, I used to speak like a child, think like a child, reason like a child. When I became a man, I did away with childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, just as I also have been fully known. But now, faith, hope, and love remain, these three, but the greatest of these is love. This is the word of the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Now, I know many of you are thinking to yourselves, why in the world did I choose 1 Corinthians 13? That is a passage that we normally use for weddings. But as I was thinking about Jodi and remembering Jodi, I felt this passage described her perfectly. She was a person who loved. She loved everybody that she knew as she came across to. She loved nature. She loved creation. And one of the joys that I got to know is about Jodi is when she would put things on Facebook. I love to see her pictures. I love to see her stories. I love to try to understand her experiences in life. So I chose this passage because I think it identifies her perfectly. A person who loves. And in each Bible, for those of you if you have different ones, each Bible has a title. And the one that I read from this morning titles this chapter, The Excellence of Love. And when I think of Jodi, I think of how excellent she was at loving people. She had such positive words for people. She was an encourager. She lifted you up. She wanted all of us to be happy. And I think she did everything that she could to make us all happy and be at peace with ourselves. She loved her family. When they were around, I saw the brightness in her eyes and her life and how much she enjoyed being around her mom and dad, around her brothers, around Orlando and Katie. She loved everyone, her friends. And what's interesting about having to know her is that we were the ones that were blessed by being in her presence. Again, she always had a smile on her face. And I always enjoyed the fact that how she loved nature. And she loved her community, wherever she was. She made sure to be in part, to be busy, to be at work, to make sure the community could be a better place. And she always brightened the community in which she was in. When she walked again, when she came to our church, there was a brightness in her steps, and her personality, and her words. She came to love our church, and I'm very grateful for that. And we loved her in return. And Jodi was teaching us how to love each other like she did. Those are some of the greatest lessons that we can learn from her. And like the scripture encourages us to do, I will always cherish these memories from Jodi. I will cherish everything that she has tried to teach us and live up to her example, because she truly was an excellence of love. At this time, we're going to sing our next song, Grace Alone.
wanted to talk a little bit about Jodi's character, and so many of the words that have been said. She was empathetic, and she felt other people's pain. She was compassionate. She always took care of the downtrodden. Right? She loved, and she loved hard. But one of the most important things I wanted to tell you about Jodi was how bold she was. All right? At 32 years of age, she joined the Army. She was living here in Florida, and she had risen to the pinnacle of her profession. She was an executive secretary for a local businessman. And she decided that was not where her life was going, that was not going to take her where she wanted to go. So she joined the Army. Bold, at 32. All right? She married a man 2 months after meeting him. Bold. And then she wanted to be, very badly, to be a stay-at-home mom and to raise a child. And the only way we could do that is staying in the Army. Right? She got out of the Army to do this. All right? Giving up her contract, giving up the things that she had joined the Army for. Bold move. Very bold. So much of her life, you know, it reflects this theme of boldness. All right? We were living in Phoenix, Arizona. All right? She tells me, I want to go someplace cooler. I said, where do you want to go? She says, I don't know. And I said, well, when you figure it out, let me know. And so she chose to go to Ketchikan, Alaska. So I had to kind of jump through some hoops and get a job out there myself. So we went to Ketchikan, living the life she wanted to live, following that adventure. Bold, just very bold. And we knew she had the aneurysm before. She had an aneurysm 18 months ago and never lost consciousness and recovered completely. But we knew about the second one. And they told us that there was a 96% chance that something would go wrong if they tried to fix the second one. And so what she did, she said, I will take one more good year over the possibility of having neurological deficits for the rest of my life. So we took the chance. And you know, all the way through, she lived her life boldly. Right? You know, this is a celebration of life. I want, you know, that's the thing. You know, she loved me, and she loved me with all her heart, and I knew she did. And that is really what I want to leave you guys with. You know, that's the thing. I said that at the end of her obituary, that she would like you to be kind to one another. And just go out there and be better people in the world. Thank you.
Video working. We're trying to be clear.
Give me a second, Jeff. There we go. Thank you.
up there, besides all the others, because it was a flight Jodi took on April 7th up in Alaska, and she was talking about how much she enjoyed that. So I actually have prepared notes to read today because I normally do speak off the cuff, but I don't want to miss anything because I'm speaking on behalf of the family. If I tear up a little bit or my voice quivers, I'll get past it. But I do miss Jodi. I know I'll be speaking for about 10 to 12 minutes because I'd like to walk you through Jodi's life. And by the way, even 18-point font, I still need glasses. Guess we all get older. We can't be with you today in person, Jodi, but we're with you in spirit. Loving you is easy, missing you is hard. She had a mantra that she often shared. In fact, everybody that's ever received an email from Jodi knows it because it sums up her beliefs. It says, live simply, love generously, care deeply, speak kindly, and leave the rest to God. What a great way to think. What a great way to live. What a great daughter, wife, mother, sister-in-law, aunt, great aunt even, and sister. Before I go any further, I'd like to thank a few folks, and those that are coming in remotely, thank you for coming in. Those that came in spiritually, thank you, and of course those that are here. But Pastor Jeff and Jessica, we appreciate everything you've done for your family. We simply cannot express enough gratitude. To my parents' church friends and other friends that came, I know how much they appreciate your love and support. It means a lot to them. And us kids, thank you for that. For Frank Sherman from Alaska, he signed on this morning. And the U.S. Forest Service, an amazing boss and a friend to Jodi in Orlando. She often said, my best boss ever. And I think Frank is someone that we all wish we had as a friend. One example was the float plane trip with this view. One of the views before it in pictures that's on Facebook was of a beautiful cabin, one we all wish we lived in with the mountain view and the trees. It was so nice you could see that. Frank is helping us explore getting a park bench in Jodi's memory installed somewhere in Ketchikan. And I think she made a super good decision to spend that last year because I saw her very happy. Orlando, you guys had a great time up there. He's helping see if we can arrange that so for eternity, Jodi is welcome others to sit and enjoy the peace and beauty that's found in Alaska. We're especially grateful to Frank because he was Jodi's best and last boss and looked after her right up to this day. To Jodi, Orlando's, and Kathy's friends from around the world, residents from Rhineland or Wausau, Phoenix, Germany, Scotland, Alaska, and points in between. Thank you for helping shape who Jodi was and caring so deeply about her. Just to let you know, it sounds long-winded, but I'm about a third of the way through. We're proud of Jodi. Just a small percentage of mementos and memories are shared at this table. I'm only going to be able to share a few things today. But my favorite picture of Jodi is over here of her as a little girl in that dress. That was one I was remembering and hoping we could find. Jodi was on the move from the minute she was born until her very last day. She was born on June 27th, 1958 at St. Mary's Hospital in Rhinelander, a small town in northern Wisconsin. I followed one day less than a year later, so I unintentionally messed up her birthday. Because my mom was in the hospital having me. It seemed to be a trait I thought. I think they chose me to speak today because I owe her a lot of apologies for being rude. Mom and Dad were telling me just the other day how organized she was. Even at 12 and 18 months, she would sit in her crib and organize her clothes. I don't know, I didn't follow that trait, I guess, but then when Jodi was 9, we moved to the big city of Wausau, 60 miles away. That meant we moved from a town of 8,000 to 50,000, and that was like the big city because they actually had city buses in addition to the yellow buses. Jodi was always the good one in the family, being the oldest, and she had 2 feisty brothers to deal with, Jim and I. Grew up with a dachshund named Schatzi and a black cat named Tinta, both German names. Somehow our family was kind of on a German kick, as Jim says. By the time Jodi was a teenager, she really wanted her own cat. I remember months of her asking. Jim described it as begging. I was trying to be polite up here by saying asking, before our parents gave in. And then in the mid-70s, when the play and movie Fiddler on the Roof was all the rage, one of the daughters named Zeidel. The character of Zeidel was the oldest daughter and a strong-willed leader that set her own course, much like our sister Jodi, and that was a fitting name for her first cat. One of her first jobs was working at a local theater, the Grand, and she sometimes was asked to watch Jim while she worked, but Jim didn't mind the arrangement, I'm sure, because what 10-year-old doesn't want to watch free movies all day. In high school, Jodi was good in class, was active in theater, and also liked the outdoors. I remember she loved the water, and she was a water ski. She participated in a water ski show that put on free shows of the Wisconsin River. She graduated from high school in 1976 and then lived in Wausau until 1983. My parents moved to Florida, and then about 6 months later, Jodi decided to join, and I think something spurred that on, which was probably a harsh Wisconsin winter. She worked on the beach in a food trailer, if I remember right, for fun at first. I think the picture's up here somewhere. But ended up getting a position as a personal assistant to Gail Lemeron, that some of you locals might know, Gail Industries. And she was like a personal assistant to him, executive secretary. And she had it made. She flew all over the place and supported everything he wanted to do. And I think she especially admired him because he also gave back to his community. Then came the shocker, as Orlando mentioned. She joined the Army at 32, and I remember because I had been in the Air Force for a long time before that, I tried to talk her into using some of my contacts, and if you really want to see the world, just trust me, get into the Air Force and we'll get you where you want to go. She insisted on the Army, and I was saying, don't you know there's, like, you share in the Air Force, you have 2 to a room, and in the Army you have 6. And she went in anyway, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, her goal was to see the world for sure. But then her first assignment was Fort Riley. And I was just about to say, so much for the chance to see the world. But it turns out that it was her destiny, because that's where she met you, Orlando. Very soon after arrival, right? Yeah. Being helpful and helping Jodi get settled in. After a whirlwind romance and then marriage, we were all blessed with adorable Katie. Kathy now, but Katie. Certainly Jodi's pride and joy. Then Jodi left her Army career after 2 years of honorable service to devote time to be the loving mom and military spouse that Orlando talked about. She started volunteering more than ever, actually. Then after being 4 years in Kansas, they moved to South Bend, Indiana, because Orlando had a recruiting assignment. And Jodi started focusing on raising Kathy, and she continued her community service. So it was Kansas, then Indiana, and then next up was Fort Stewart, Georgia, correct? That was for 2 years. That's where Jodi started homeschooling. Then it was on to Fort Bragg in North Carolina for another 2.5 years. All along the way, not only was Jodi focusing on nurturing Kathy, being a supportive military spouse, but she was constantly active in nonprofits like Friends and the library and the thrift shop and some other things. And then came the ultimate assignment, Wiesbaden, Germany, a place where she had always wanted to go, and God knows that they deserved it after some of those stateside assignments. She often told us afterward that Germany made her feel like she was at home. I think some of our bloodlines go back over that way. And then after the military career, they moved to their hometown, Phoenix. This is where he lived for 12 years. And Orlando had gone back to school and then worked at local hospitals and medical centers. Jodi worked in the school system at first for a few years, and then the state of Arizona National Guard, before retiring at age 61. And she received all kinds of awards and commendations along the way. Oh, and by the way, she also completed 2 college degrees in her spare time, something that had been a lifetime goal. Then it wasn't enough for her. Another surprise move that Ketchikan won. And she took this job at the Forest Department, and I was surprised but not surprised that Jodi could get hired at 61. I thought we weren't supposed to get hired anywhere new at 61, but she did. And her boss, Frank, that I mentioned earlier, later said that she was the best administrator, bar none, in all of his years of service. And then just a few months into her job, near Thanksgiving of 2020, Jodi had the first of 2 aneurysms that Orlando mentioned earlier. And she walked right out of the hospital and went back to filling her obligations, and had the intention, though, of retiring this year, coming up in a few months. So when she wasn't getting that condition treated, I was thinking, wow, could you really walk around with that? And how do you feel? Well, she didn't miss a beat. My memory of the last year of her life was just fulfilled with fun, like flights and nonstop adventures in Alaska, gardening, and continued all of her volunteer spirit. In fact, on the day she collapsed at the end, she was on her way to be installed, I think, as treasurer or secretary of another nonprofit group. So, in summary, Jodi was a believer in all things good. I remember I found out from one of my older friends at age 4 that there was no Santa. And I somehow had the foresight to not share it with Jodi because she loved Santa Claus. I kept it a secret from her, fairly sure she kept believing or wanting to believe in there was a Santa Claus until she was about 30. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, she still likes coloring books at Christmas. She harmed no one. And actually, she genuinely wanted world peace. She didn't like the I like or don't like world that we have these days. She's kind and gentle. Always been a protector, hasn't she? So, but we can take great comfort that we're able to see her have a good life. I know it's not natural for parents to see a son or daughter die earlier than them. But we at least know that her time on earth ended peacefully. We're able to see it start and finish. Her memories don't live on. She's in our hearts forever. So in conclusion, in memory of Jodi, live simply, love generously, care deeply, and speak kindly. God will take care of the rest. Thank you.
Kathy.
Hey everyone, I'm Kathy. I'm Jodi's daughter. And we just heard from my Uncle Jeff, who knew her as a sister, and my dad, Orlando, who knew her as a wife. But I knew her as a mom, and she was really an amazing mom. I can't emphasize that enough. The older I get, the more I appreciate everything she did for me. We've mentioned that she quit working to stay at home and focus on raising me for the first 10 years of my life. And honestly, I think most people have some ways they feel like their mom messed them up somehow, and I honestly say I don't have any. She taught me to be curious about the world around me. When I was a baby, she would explain everything to me, just like talking to an adult. People would kind of look at her in the grocery store and say, "That's a baby. Why are you talking to her like that?" And she's like, she's got to learn. As I grew up, she always encouraged me to, be curious and ask lots of questions. If I asked her something she didn't know, she would just say, "That sounds like a look it up question to me," and we'd go look it up. I'd learn to use, the dictionary, the encyclopedia, eventually the internet. In 3rd and 4th grade, she homeschooled me. Jeff mentioned that as well. But yeah, rather than following any kind of pre-made curriculum, she just sort of would ask me what I was interested in learning and design lesson plans around it. At the time, this was often day in the life of different historical figures. We would kind of simulate how that was, and we had a big timeline on the wall where I could fill out the dates of different historical events as I learned them. She taught me to be kind. She was herself incredibly kind. She's honestly one of the few people I know that I would genuinely call a good person. She cares so deeply about the people around her. Most years when I was growing up, she would invite all of the single soldiers on the base, all the ones that lived in the barracks, to Thanksgiving and Christmas. And she would fill a Christmas stocking for every single one of them, write their name on it in fabric paint. She loved other kids, not just me. When I started kindergarten, she started volunteering in the classroom. Probably at first out of a little bit of anxiety of being away from me, but ended up falling so in love with kindergarten that she stayed on with my kindergarten teacher after I moved up to 1st grade. Those kids all called her Miss Jodi. And she loved that so much that she made her email address MissJodi_58 at Hotmail. If you asked her what she liked about volunteering in kindergarten, she would say, "Where else do you get 50 hugs a day? All 25 kids hug you in the morning when they come in, and again when they leave." I owe so much of who I am to her. Little things like my love of crossword puzzles, and big things like she taught me the Serenity Prayer. She had that posted a few different places in the house. The one, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." That's a really big underpinning of how I think about things nowadays. And of course, she wasn't just my mom. We've heard a lot of other things about her life. She traveled the world. She served in the Army. She was an amazing wife to my dad. She contributed to communities everywhere she was. But really, I asked them to squeeze me in today because I thought it was really important to express my gratitude for everything she did for me, for making me who I am today. I don't have any children of my own yet, but I definitely hope to, and when I do, I really can only pray that I could be anywhere near as good to them as she was to me. And she knew one day we'd be having this service, and she knew we'd miss her. But she asked that this not be a somber occasion when we reflect on how sad we are that she's gone, but a happy one where we reflect on how happy we are that she lived and that we got to know her. My uncle ended with one of her email signatures, and I'm going to end with a different one that she had on a different email account. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain.
you, Orlando. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Jeff, for sharing those words. Thank you again for sharing Jodi with us. The first time I met Jodi, I knew I was going to fall in love with her because she told me, please watch over my dad. Like, okay, we'll try. But ever since we got to know Jenny and Terry, we have loved them. They've become a part of our family, and your family have, kids have become part of our family as well. And when I first met Jodi, I knew I was going to like her just because of her personality, her character, her love for life, her love for people. And as she understood, I believe, just like we all understand, is that life is such a precious gift. And it is a gift to not waste. It is a gift to live. That is why God gave it to us, to live our lives, to do what we would desire to do, to work, to make friends, to have a family, to enjoy raising children, if that is our desire. But life is for us to live. And Jodi lived it. Through these pictures, through the stories that we've heard, she has lived her life to the fullest. She never took a day for granted. And that is one of the reasons why she is so dear to us and close to us. And that is why this family is close to us as well, because they look after each other. And that is what makes this family strong. That is what makes them wonderful. As we come to celebrate her life, we also to come honor her memory, and we also come to comfort this family, for that is the reason we are here today. And we do so first by seeking God. One of the things that Jodi was so wonderful about was her questions about God. And when she would come to church, again, as I've shared with you earlier, she brightened this place. Just like any of you brightened this place. She brightened this place because she was a visitor. She wasn't a stranger. She was a family member. I shouldn't even say visitor. She was a family. Orlando, I kept trying to get you guys to move down here through her. I wanted her to because, again, you both would have made a wonderful asset to this community and to the community of Port Orange. But she had other places to go, other people to serve, other people to help. And that was her mission. She believed in God, just like we all do. She believed in His glory and in His love. And so as we come today to seek comfort, we come and seek God to surround us, to fill our lives with peace, to allow us to remember her stories, to laugh at those stories, to remember her and cry because we miss her, we love her. So yes, we're going to cry. God gave us such a precious gift through Jodi. And today we honor her and celebrate that life. We also come to look for ways to console ourselves because each of us are missing her. Now, the memories will stay with us, so she will be a part of us. But her physical presence is what we miss. We want to be able to see her and to touch her, to hug her. But unfortunately, she is with her God, our God. She is in no more pain, no more suffering. She is with her God for eternal peace. And we will be there one day as well. We will see her again. But as we try to live now the days without her, we find those ways to help ourselves to grieve. Don't hide from the memories. Embrace them. Let them be a part of our lives. Yes, they may shed some tears, but they will also create laughter. Because anytime you meet people for the first time, you don't know. First impressions are everything. And when Jodi told me to look after her dad, I knew what she meant. I knew what she meant. Keep him out of trouble. Keep him out of trouble. And I just thought that was, yes ma'am. Yes ma'am, I will do that. And instantly, the entire family became a part of our own family. And we will continue to do so. And we're also here to comfort this family here. And Jeannie, Terry, Orlando, Katie, we will be here for you. For Jeff, Jim, for all of your family, we are here for you. We're here to love you. We're here to hug you. We are here to listen to you. whatever you need from us, if we can provide it, we will give it to you. We love you guys so much, and we're grateful that you shared Jodi with us. And let us have that experience that you guys know her so well. Again, God created such a precious gift with Jodi. And it is good to laugh. It is good to cry. It is good to rejoice in what God has given to us. And we're going to miss her. And I'm grateful for the memories. One of the things about Jodi that I admire was her constant growing, her constant learning, and trying things. So I want to share with you a poem that I hold dear to me, and I want to share it with you in honor of her. It is Death Be Not Proud by John Donne. Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom you think it, thou dost overthrow. Die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. From rest and sleep, which by thy pictures be, much pleasure, then from thee much more must flow. And soonest our best men with thee do go. Rest of their bones and souls delivery, thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men, and dost with poison, war, and sickness dwell, and poppy our charms can make us sleep as well. And better than thy stroke, why swellest thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. What I think this poem is saying is that death does not have the final word. Through God, we live forever. That's the final word. Eternally. Eternity with God. And that is where I believe Jodi is with her God. I don't know what heaven will be like. I can only speculate through my own thoughts and ideas. But death does not have the final word. Jodi is with God now, praising Him, worshiping alongside Him and others that have gone before us. Now, I know that may not be the answers we all seek, but I'm just here to tell you all, encourage you all. God will be here. God is here. God will help us through this, and God will help you through this. And we are here to do so as well. Let us have a word of prayer. Holy God, we thank you once more for what we've heard, from what we have shared, from the songs that we have sung. Everything we have witnessed here today honors Jodi's life. And once again, we thank you for giving her to this world, to these parents, to the family, to the community, to all of us. We thank you. And ask that your spirit of comfort surround each and every one of us, and especially this family, as we all go through this time of grief. For we are better in our lives for knowing her. Amen. I want to share with you the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This is the word of the Lord. As we now prepare for the conclusion of this service, I would like to offer a blessing, a prayer, words of encouragement to the family, to all of you witnessing this time, for those of us who have a special place in our hearts for Jodi. I pray that God will go with you all through every step of your journey in the days ahead. And as you remember Jodi, God will be there to take care of you. I pray and offer a blessing that you seek out your friends and family, those who are around you, for support, for encouragement. And let me just say this, sometimes it's good to be listeners instead of talkers. So, if the family comes, listen. Let them cry, let them laugh. And as I shared, if you need to go throw some dishes, we can do it, because that's okay too. I pray for you all, and once again say thank you for coming as we honor such a precious gift given to us by God. And I pray that all of the lessons that Jodi has taught us, we hold to our hearts and in our minds, and live life to the fullest, as she did. For that was her greatest lesson to all of us. Amen. This concludes our service for today. Once again, I just want to say that the family has provided a lunch for us. I would like to ask, though, that we let, especially Jenny and Terry, go first, and the family. We set some tables up for the family. But again, just want to say thank you to you all for coming out today as we honor Jodi's life. We are now dismissed.